I don't want it to end like this. Where was I? Oh, right. I was driving to the mountains that night to visit someone on the other side. Oh, okay. Well, this is back to, the driver. A friend. Met him online a couple months ago. Never saw him in person, though, obviously. That would ruin the surprise, after all. Okay, we're just visiting them, like, as a surprise. I don't like surprises. That'd be weird. I don't know, anyway. I tapped my fingers against the steering wheel. Zara was definitely rustic. Small town, small people, small problems. It made things easier. I didn't bother messing the radio any further. I had long since given up the ghost. I ran my thumb over the cross in my neck, thinking, planning. And then I remembered something. Something important. It was something that had never happened before, but it was a memory nonetheless. Funny how that works, huh? And that's when I saw you. A scrawny thing in dirty clothes on the side of the road, sticking your thumb out. Someone who needed help. So I... Okay. I mean, I feel like this ends the same way anyway, but I guess I'll decide to stop again. So I decided to stop. I couldn't very well abandon you, could I? But that strange little memory tugged at the back of my neck, or my head rather, I keep saying neck, at the back of my head. So I elected to compromise. I flashed my headlights and pulled over a little further down the road from you. I went straight to the trunk as I got out and grabbed some essentials from my bag. Phone, first aid, that sort of thing. Even if it was nothing, I figured there's no harm in being prepared. What's that saying again? The stop clock is right twice a day or something? I closed the trunk and started heading down your direction. I got the chance to look at the stars as I walked. The sky was gorgeous that night. No light pollution or big ugly buildings to muck things up. I could see the stars the way that the Lord intended. It helped me think. I figured that I could hang around this area for a while once I was done with my visit. The air could do me some good. When I got close enough, I waved you down to get your attention. You seemed nervous. I didn't blame you. Hands in my pockets, I approached you with a smile on my face. It just didn't feel right not to have one. As soon as I saw you, I knew I made the right decision. You were a sorry sight, like you'd been wandering these woods for days. Alone, frightened, desperate. Poor thing. You needed help, badly. Hey, you alright? Where are you headed? No response. You didn't even look me in the eyes. Like you knew something that I didn't. I took a step forward. You didn't even flinch. Take as long as you need, okay? No rush. Just tell me when you're ready. Now that got your attention, you eyed me warily as if looking for something. I wondered what you thought you would find. You need a ride, right? Just give me a direction that I can take you there. Still nothing. You looked like you were struggling with something. Well, only God knew what was going on in that head of yours. But I waited patiently, as long as you needed. It's not like I was going much of anywhere. You ran your fingernails up and down your arms, as if you were scratching at something. And then, you finally met my gaze. Is there a town nearby? Your voice was parched from thirst. You sound like you were 2 steps from passing out. No wonder you needed my help. But not for a while yet, unfortunately. I wasn't too keen on the idea of bringing someone who knew my face along with me during my visit. Besides, it wasn't really a lie. The Lord would forgive me. What was that? What was that sentence? Kind of weird, like not knowing your face. But there should be a gas station in the next exit, but a 20-minute drive or so. I could take you there if you like. Another pause. Something was really getting to you. Life would be so much easier if people were just open with their problems. Easier to help that way. But patience is a virtue. I knew I learned the truth eventually. I always did. I don't know. The driver is like the priest driver, you know? It's like sounding ominous now. I don't know. Please. So polite. The way you spoke made it sound like you were trying to impress somebody, even though I knew you didn't have a lick of trust in me. Poor thing. My car's over there. You good for a short walk? Another nod. Not much hesitation this time. Were you already warming up to me? How cute. but not enough to walk ahead of me, I figured. So I took the lead as we made our way back. I pressed a kiss to my cross when you weren't looking. Praise the Lord. I don't know. The stars were still so lovely tonight. I almost got lost in them. The steady sound of your footsteps alongside mine kept me on track. I wonder if you realized how loudly you were breathing. How long until you decided to make the first move? How long until that distrust of yours got the better of you? I was ready to let it happen. I wanted you to have your moment. Patience, as always. We just made it to the car when you finally jumped me. Pinned up against the door to the driver's seat with your scalpel at my neck. Well, that had been your plan anyway. But I remember something that never happened before. And now, my fingers closed around your trembling wrists as you strained, trying so desperately to drive the blade into my flesh. You were too exhausted to use your full strength, so I watched you struggle in vain. What do you think you're doing? Your teeth ground against each other, so determined to see this through. Is that any way to repay a stranger's kindness? I tightened my grip, my nails digging into bone and fragile skin. You hissed, face scrunched up in pain. It was all the distraction I needed. The side of the car groaned as I slammed your weight into it. My hand was caught in fistfuls of your hair. You hung limply from my grasp, like a doll. The scalpel slipped out from your fingertips. Your eye twitched where the side of your face had made impact. With a sigh, I tossed you back into the ground. You struggled to sit up. I kicked the scalpel under the car. No time for silly things like that anymore. You were still trying to fight. Teeth bared, pulling yourself up to your knees. Well, we couldn't have that, now could we? So I pulled out my gun out of my pocket and aimed it right at your head. Yes, we're playing as an American. As it turns out, this takes place in America. Because, you know, I don't know. I live in a country where that just wouldn't happen so casually. But anyway, you froze, eyes wide as ever, like a deer in the headlights. Poor thing. You really hadn't expected this at all, had you? That's enough. Sit down. To my surprise, you complied rather quickly. It's like all the fight in you just vanished. All it took was low tough love, huh? There you go. Feeling better now? Your eyes stay locked on the end of the barrel. Care to tell me why you decided to stab me in the back? I kept my voice even, gentle. No sense in losing my temper or anything. You swallowed. I could see your lip trembling. I glanced down the ground beneath the car. Someone was getting ideas. I flicked the side of the gun with my other hand. Fingers still on the trigger. You jump at the sound. Eyes up here, buddy. Let's try again, shall we? Why were you trying to kill me? You inhaled sharply. Please. So you finally found that voice of yours. What was that? I gestured with the end of the gun. Your chest rose and fell, shaking like a leaf. Please. Please don't kill me. You sound like you are about to cry. But that didn't exactly answer my question now, did it? One more time. Think carefully, alright? Come on now. Answer the question. Patience is a virtue, but I had so little of it left. I can't exactly help those who refuse to be helped, can I? You didn't hold back this time. The words spilled out of you, ugly and messy and everywhere, like a man at confessional. I don't know. I was just scared and... Scared? I hummed. So then, you acted on instinct. You nodded furiously. I couldn't help it, so I... Shh. You went silent immediately. Just one more question from me. One more and I'll set you free. Your eyes widened. One more, okay? Think carefully. I tilted my head, meeting your eyes. Are you a bad person? You didn't respond. You want to go free, don't you? Answer me then. Are you a bad person? You stammered uselessly. I don't... I don't know. I don't understand what you're not sure. I mean... as it turns out, the driver is... What the heck? You know, I thought it was unfounded that the hitchhiker was like killing us, you know, or killing the driver in every loop, assuming that the driver would kill the hitchhiker, but like, I guess this is the driver's real nature, as it turns out. So maybe it wasn't unfounded after all. Well, I mean, I don't know if this matters, but I'm gonna say, I think you are. I think you are. Yeah. It's just bam. One quick shot to the thigh, nothing serious, mind you. Just enough to keep you from causing any more trouble. You yelped like a dog and collapsed, clutching your leg to your chest. Poor thing, poor thing. But it's alright. I forgive you, you know. You sound like you were trying to say something, but only the smallest whimper escaped your lips. Well, maybe not the moment, but eventually I will. By the time I join you, all will be forgiven. Because he always forgives. I bent down to get a better look at you now that you are more reasonable. So sharp and scrawny, it was a wonder that the wind didn't knock you over. See, God sent me to take care of people like you. People who threaten the safety of his flock. People who don't bring nothing good into this world and leave all sorts of nasty stuff behind. I brush your hair out of your eyes, my fingers trailing across the bruise on your cheek. You stared at me with such hatred in those eyes of yours. People like me too. Give him a taste of their own medicine and whatnot. Karma, I think they call it. You spit in my face. I couldn't help but laugh. I know. This all doesn't make much sense to you right now, does it? Usually, I try not to mix work and personal business. Makes things simpler that way. But even before I saw you flagging me down, I've been seeing things. Visions, maybe. I saw your eyes widening as I spoke. Things that hadn't happened yet. Things that weren't yet to be. Now, I don't fancy myself a prophet or nothing, but if the Lord's bending my ear, who am I to ignore him? And well, buddy? I wrapped my fist around a lock of your hair and pulled you up to look at me properly. You gone pale as a sheet. I tucked the bell under your chin and gave you a smile. God wants you dead. Headshot. Alright. Ending 10. Karma. No. Not really a good ending for the hitchhiker, but I guess the driver got his revenge, in a way. You know, he has been getting murdered by the hitchhiker in many like loops, so, you know, kind of psychotic about it. I don't know, was he always that way? I wonder if the driver was always that way, you know, freaking evil priests. This happened. It seems like it's always a thing, eh? Evil priests? Yorokube shonin. Alright. Let's start again. What are you? Where was I? Oh, right. I was driving there in the mountains that night to visit someone on the road. Oh. Okay. At this point, I've been catfishing him for about 2 months, give or take. Oh, okay. The driver is... Okay. The driver is just evil. In general, I guess. He didn't suspect a thing. Post the right pictures, say the right lines, and it's like watching moss to a flame. But whatever cozy little evening he had planned was the first thing from my mind. I tapped my fingers against the steering wheel. This area was definitely rustic. Small town, small people, small problems. It made things easier. Okay. So that kind of confirms it. that the driver is definitely a serial killer at this point. I mean, it was heavily implied already, but that confirms it. Okay. All right. And then I remembered something. Something important. Funny how that works. All right. Actually, so since we're back here, what happens if we just keep driving? So I kept right on driving. I didn't have the luxury of waiting. Someone was expecting me. Whatever I'd seen, or rather what I thought I'd seen, I could handle it later. I still felt your eyes on me as I sped past you, all the way down the road. I never saw you again. Okay. Same ending. Different implications though, you know? Never learn, do you? Ah, okay, I now know what the red text means. It's her, I guess, whatever she is, but you just never learn, do you? Well, let's try again. There was a right. Whoop. Alright. More context. He lived a little while away from my usual stomping ground, but I didn't mind it none. If I just stuck to the same places, people would start getting suspicious, start connecting the dots. Besides, there were only so many creeps and weirdos I could find on local dating sites. Branching out like this came with the job. Less people like him in the world, the better. Okay, I mean, okay, so it's like he catfishes people on dating sites, but like he only does it to creeps, I guess. But like, I don't know, is he? I mean, obviously we're getting into the vigilante argument, where it's like, is these, you know, is it morally ethical? I guess for him to be the the judge, jury, and executioner. I guess I don't know. Anyway, like does he deserve? I mean the answer is no. You know, basically. Anyway, um, remember something? Da, da, da. Okay, decided to stop. All right, let's go back here. Decided to stop. Didn't very well abandon you. Here's no memory. Oh, and my gun too, of course. Yeah, don't forget to bring your gun. God gave predators claws for defending themselves with. Then God gave humans a sense of justice and a Glock. And a Glock to see it through. Ah yes, the most holiest of weapons, the Glock. I slipped it into my coat pocket, safe and sound. Hands in my pockets, my finger on the trigger, I approach you with a smile on my face. It just didn't feel right not to have one. Not to have like a gun, I guess. Different context. Interesting. Not to mention a pretty nasty looking shiner you chauffeured. Now where'd you get something like that from? Okay, it seems like he got injured, but I guess it's in a different time loop, maybe. That's when he got injured before, maybe. And how long have you been like this? Alone, frightened, desperate. Poor thing. You needed help badly. Ooh. You didn't move, frozen like you were even alive. Had I gone and scared you already? Shame on me. Your eyes fell in my pocket, and just for a moment, doubt crept through my head. But I let go of that weakness when you nodded, slinking back a few steps to give me a wide berth. I took the lead as we followed the road to the car, letting you trail behind me. Alright. So this is when we did a little tussle at the car, and obviously the driver has the upper hand here. And the last question was, are you a bad person? And obviously the hitchhiker doesn't answer, so the driver's gonna answer for them. This time, let's just say, you aren't, are you? You aren't you? Your brow furrowed. I smile. It's alright, I can tell. Bad people, well, they don't just come popping out the ground, you see. Evil is made, raised. The world just pushes and pushes and pushes, and sooner or later, you start to push back. Seems reasonable, doesn't it? You didn't say a word, but you didn't have to. So how did you get to this point? Just how far does this world push you? I crouched down to meet you at eye level, watching those eyes of yours start to water. You must have been through so much, think that this was your only option. But it never ends, does it? No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you push back, you're always left with the pain. And it never ever leaves. Your tears stream all the way down to your chin. An endless cycle. Exactly. Round and round it goes. A life like that, it's enough to break you. You must be exhausted. You nodded. There was such relief on your face. It's okay, it's okay. You don't have to go through all of that anymore. I forgive you. The Lord always forgives. I wrapped an arm around your shoulder, and you crumpled like a stack of cards. You fell into me with your fists balled up in my shirt, wet with tears and snot. I held you as long as you needed, kept you as close as I could. Deep breaths. You can rest now. You're free now. I closed my eyes, smiling against her neck. You'll never have to suffer again. You didn't even realize my gun was in your head until it was too late. Yeah, of course. Ending 11? Was that 11 or? Yeah, 11. Complex. Complex? Complex or complex? There you go. The clock strikes 12. Well, now what? Is there anything else we can do? Try again. Where was I? Oh, right. I was driving the mountains that night to visit a friend. Assuming I played my cards right, he'd be expecting a teenage girl from the suburbs on his doorstep sometime tomorrow night. Okay. Well, okay, so the guy... I mean... So that's what the... Okay, that's what he means. So he's catfishing the guy on a dating site, pretending to be underage, so, you know... He's basically baiting a sexual predator. You know, just like that show, right? To Catch a Predator or whatever, which I've learned is actually quite... Like, it's actually very not good in the sense that because they recorded everything, you know, to catch, like, you know, sexual predators and everything, it actually becomes not... Like, they can't use it as evidence in the court of law, so the people they catch actually kind of get away with it, so, like, it's... Anyway, it's complicated, but, like, for the most part, the show was actually bad, you know, for, like, catching people and everything, like, catching criminals and all that, so... Actually was not very productive in its like main thing. It just made money off of the whole like drama, I guess, or whatever, but didn't actually help, you know, society. But anyway, I simply played my cards right. He's expecting a teenage girl from suburbs on doorstep sometime tomorrow night. So yeah, so that was a surprise. Not the surprise that he would be showing up, but that it's not a teenage girl. But anyway. Gave me the time I needed to set up, scope out the area. Places like this are just teeming with bogs that folks don't do much searching through. If I made it clean, made it quick, have a day or two to sightsee before his body's found and the jig is up. It'd be nice to spend some time outside the house for once. I miss stargazing. Alright, freaking Dexter. Something I needed to do. It was something that never happened before, but it was a memory nonetheless. Yeah. I mean, there's only two options here again. Side of stop. So that side of stop. I had a job to do. It was time to get to work. As soon as I saw you, I took up my gun and pulled the trigger. What? Ah, that was fast. Oh, you were still standing. You closed your side where the bullet hit, hissing through your teeth. Your knees shook as you fought to stay upright, blood soaking through your shirt. You definitely weren't going anywhere anytime soon, but it didn't feel right to just leave you there. Besides, I still had a job to do. I received the vision I did for a reason, down to the last detail. You had trapped me here too long already. Watch me suffer and squirm underneath your thumb. But no longer. No more of this. Things like you weren't meant to exist. Please, stop! You clawed at my leg as I pressed the end of the gun to your forehead. You looked like you were in so much pain. So I granted you mercy. Alright. Break is ending here. That's 9, right? I don't know my Roman numerals. Ending 9, I think. Oh, there you go. the logo has been destroyed. I mean, let's see what happens now. Let me tell you a story. You needed help badly. This was the end for both of us. You know why you're in trouble, don't you, number 8? Are you a bad person? Thus we are even. Does that make sense? I insist. No. No. No! Where was I? And when was this? The 7th loop? The 18th? The car crashed. That much was obvious. Was this the one where I stabbed you first, or the one where I tried to threaten you? I couldn't remember. Or... wait. Why couldn't I roll back past this point? It wasn't working. Was I stuck again? Was this a memory? Some new kind of hitch? Or did I finally reach the end? Then this was it. My final loop. The only ending I had left, and I couldn't even remember which one it was. After all this time, fate won out. So my only option was to give up. Something was moving? A sound off to my left. Oh, it must have been you. I guess that you survived the impact this time. Were you still conscious? And all I could do now was... look. I was alive. Just barely. My breath was slow, uneven. My cross dangled loosely from my neck. Okay, well, the cross... oh, okay, we're from the perspective of the driver. Okay. Without looking up, I already knew what had happened. My car crashed. We survived, but not enough to save ourselves. It was a miracle that we were still breathing at all. And you... Somehow I knew you were connected to all of this. The memories of things that hadn't happened yet. The weird sense of deja vu every time I looked you in the eyes. The little coincidences and oddities that kept on piling up. And how I knew we'd been through this before. That we died before. Even though it seemed so impossible. But we already had one miracle under our belt. What was one more? Your eyes bored into mine. Red and bloodshot and weepy. If this was how things were gonna end anyway, then I didn't have much else to lose. Oi. The sound was more of a croak than anything else, like I hadn't had a drink in weeks. I noticed your hand on my own, trying to get your attention. Those eyes of yours. I could never tell if you were actually looking at me or just straight through me. But all I knew, you kept the damn things open while you slept. Certainly wouldn't be the weirdest thing about you. You blinked, owl-like. Mouth hung open in that way you do when you are off in your own little world. I shifted in place, flicking your wrists. Hey, Earth to Poindexter, you still with me? Now that got your attention. You jolted as soon as my nail hit your skin. I never realized just how many scars you had in your hands alone. There's some of those bite marks. I'm conscious. I noticed. Not sure how long we have left though. Indeed. You looked away. Never a good sign. So I think I ought to know the truth before I kick the bucket. How do you mean? Cut the crap. You're not nearly as good as a liar as you think you are. You huffed. So tell me, what's really going on here? At the very least, so I know who to blame for it. It's not that simple. Most things in life aren't. Tell me anyway. You took your time, rolling your lip between your teeth. You're correct. You deserve to know. Yet even so, you swallowed. For some reason, you look real small all of a sudden. Even so, could you do something for me in return? I glanced up. I looked. A look of absolute bewilderment crossed your face. I didn't blame you. I already done so much, and he asked yet another thing of you was nothing short of selfish, to say the least. I wouldn't forgive me either. I mean, it depends. Within reason, obviously. That was already more than enough. It is nothing major. My gaze fell upon where your hand was touching mine. Calluses and rough skin, hidden underneath a worn leather glove, a hand of a worker. How little I knew about you even now. I'm not the best at telling stories. Speaking in general is difficult. But I do enjoy listening to them. So once I'm finished, could you tell me a story as well? Immature, selfish, stupid. I request as everything I hated to be and more. But with the world ending around me, I wanted that indulgence. Sure. To my surprise, you answered without an ounce of hesitation, like it was nothing. But I'm warning you. Storytelling isn't exactly my forte either. Ain't too great at talking too, but it gets the job done. I couldn't resist the smile tugging at my lips. It most certainly does. I took a deep breath. How much do you remember? About tonight. About me. You clicked your tongue, taking a moment to respond. Well, let's see. I remember blaming myself for what we'd gone through, thinking that I would just pass you by and none of this would have happened at all. If only you knew. In general, I remember meeting you for the first time. Anything else? Well, I remember trying to strike up a conversation one time, but you went and stabbed me right in the middle of it. Said some real creepy shit, too. And one other thing. Oh, I remember shooting you. Been wondering if you're going to bring that up. I'd seen so many impossible things. I thought you were something unholy, something God needed me to kill. The more I remember now, the more I think you're just someone who's as lost as I am. I waited, making sure you were finished before I spoke. Or procrastinated on getting out with it, more like. Everything they just told me did occur once, in one timeline or another. I remember everything, every death, every ending. Sometimes I've lost track of the details here and there. And even as the world moves on without us, I've kept you here, looping again and again. You sighed. I figured it was something like that. Doesn't take a genius to put two and two together. How long has this been going on? I am uncertain. Long enough that I cannot roll back any further. Days, undoubtedly, weeks perhaps. At this point, it's been more days than you could possibly comprehend. And a sob bubbled up in my throat before I could push it back down. I squeezed my eyes shut. I can't keep going any longer. My voice cracked, and I couldn't bring myself to hold it all in. As disgusting and shameful as useless as I felt, I sobbed there into the dirt once reality came crashing down upon me. All this time, but trying to escape this stupid cycle. Breaking out, getting captured, being punished, trying to break out again, over and over and over. Something in my chest was aching like I never had before. I sniffed, wiping my nose on my sleeve. I really thought that this time would be for good, that I could escape and find some better ending. But now I'm just stuck in a whole other cycle. I've gone and roped you into it too. I stopped, trying to breathe properly again. I felt revolting. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you got dragged into all of this. My fingers dug into the ground, my nails scraping up all the dirt and loam and ash and filth they could find. I wanted to scratch at my arms instead, so badly, but it hurt too much to move. If I could just sink my teeth in, maybe it could dull the pain away just like usual. And then I felt something. Your hand. You were squeezing mine, firm yet so gentle. So I opened my eyes. Look. Well, let me tell you a story. I said it so casually, like I had the faintest possible idea what I was doing. I didn't know. I didn't care. All I knew that this was the end of everything and someone needed my help. Whatever pain you were going through, however much you suffered, I promised you a story of a happy ending. And if God had abandoned me here, then I sure as hell wasn't going to do the same to you. I took a deep breath and looked up at the stars. This is a story about a scorpion. A scorpion with a big venomous stinger and scary-looking claws. One day, the scorpion needed to get across a wide open river. But he couldn't swim, obviously, so he went and asked someone for help. Why do you need to get across the river? Who knows? To get to the other side? Oh. Then, who did the scorpion ask for help? Turtle. Say turtle. Oh. He asked a turtle that was resting nearby in the riverbank. Isn't it supposed to be a frog? Hey, who's the one telling the story here? You snorted. Carry on then. So the scorpion asked the turtle for a ride across the river. The turtle was a strong swimmer, with a powerful shell to defend itself with, so it could make it across no problem. The turtle had nothing to fear, so he told the scorpion to climb right on the board and two set off. But a scorpion's nature is to sting that which it sees. While they're swimming across the river, the scorpion would have no choice but to attack its friend. A scorpion's stinger can't pierce a turtle's shell. No matter its nature, the turtle wouldn't get hurt. Then, would the turtle even notice that the scorpion had tried to kill him at all? Yes. Yeah, he would. The turtle would sense the movement on its back and feel the stinger push against its shell. Then the turtle would have to drown the scorpion. What? God granted the turtle the means to defend himself, did he not? Then it would be in the turtle's duty to enact justice on the sinful scorpion. Right? I guess so. I do not think I like that story very much. It's the only one I got, buddy. If you don't like it, come up with a better ending. It's not that simple. No? Why not? The future is what you make of it. The nature of the scorpion cannot be denied. No matter how many times he tries, his fate has already been determined. What, like destiny or something? No, just stupidity and self-sabotage. I squeeze your hand. It doesn't have to be that way, you know. I have no say in the matter. It's the very essence of an endless cycle. My ending will always remain the same, even if you escape it. There is no escape. I thought the same thing one time. I thought that whenever I gave in, threw all those months of hard work into the gutter for the sake of another quick smoke, there's no point in even trying. The more I struggle, the harder it would get. And? I was right. I don't know. Actually, I can't just pick that, but I don't know. And I was right. If your only instinct is self-sabotage, if you keep telling yourself the only reason you're alive now is the promise of some better ending out there, then of course you're never gonna escape. So you just stop caring. What? Life ain't like the stories. Nothing goes the way it should, and there's no neat and tidy ending waiting for you when everything all works out. You just gotta keep going and going until you can't anymore. So don't buy into all that crap. Don't run yourself ragged looking for some higher purpose or whatever. Do what you think has purpose. Do what you want to do so you can live without any regrets. Let those endless cycles do what they will. The only reason you feel stuck in them is because you keep telling yourself that you're stuck. Isn't that just giving up? If you don't even try at all. Maybe. Sure as hell beats hating myself for trying and failing anyway, though. All nihilistic. Although I suppose there is certain comfort in that. Exactly. If things don't have any meaning, you're always going to find yourself in the same awful conclusion. Might as well have some fun along the way, right? That's how you escape these cycles. You just stop caring. I see. I don't know. I don't know. We should be taking this life advice from, like a pre-serial killer. I mean, it's like morally gray, I guess, but still, he's still he's a freaking kind of a psycho, to be honest. The way he's killed the hiker anyway. But I'm so tired. I just want to rest for a while. I hummed. Rest as long as you need. We got all the time in the world, don't we? I got a snort out of you with that one. I curled up against my arm, or you curled up against my arm, still as a grave, while I stared up at the sky through the trees. It hurt to breathe. I was about to let it all go when I felt you nudge at my palm, your voice no louder than the whisper. May I request one last thing of you? Shoot. Even after all this time, I don't believe I ever asked you for your name. Don't think you told me yours either. I don't have one. Tell you what. My thoughts slowed down to a crawl. Everything sounded and felt so far away. I'll give it to you when you wake up, okay, buddy? You promise? I promise. I could feel you smiling against my skin as I drifted away completely. Liar. Alright. Tethered. I guess that's 13. Yeah, that's 13, yeah. This is the ending 13. Huh. Alright. Is that it? Does it end there? I'm assuming so, because these are the credits. A game by Clown Dream and Sam Tudor. Yes. There you go. Yeah. What a trip. I don't know how I felt at the end there, though. It was kind of like they were having a moment, and everything, but again, I don't know if we should be taking advice. We should be having such a scorpion and frog. I chose turtle, but anyway. I guess the story at the end could have some slight variations, but I don't think it matters too much. Anyway. I was just thinking, should we be having this sentimental moment with this kind of religious serial killer? I don't know if that's appropriate. I feel like I don't know. It's like you're sympathizing with this murderer. I don't know. Yeah. There you can view all the endings you've seen. Okay, yeah, ending gallery. Bonus. Hope you enjoy this strange little story known as HIKEBACK. Although the clock has stopped, if you want to play it again, come visit me when it all began. Hope you find the better ending that you seek. Yeah. It makes a lot of references to a better ending, but I don't know if there is a better ending, Looks like there's some endings that technically I missed. I mean, alright. You know what? Yeah. Let's go ending hunting, I guess. There's a few more I don't have, ending 5, ending 7. A lot of variations on ending 8, I guess. There's ending on denial. I mean, let's see. What happens if we start again? Welcome back. Would you like to reset the clock and begin the story anew? Although you will lose all your progress and memories, you will still have access to the ending gallery. Okay, well that's good. Additionally, you will still have a record of all the endings that you already received. So, with that in mind, shall I reset the clock for you? Yes. Let's do that. Woo! As you wish, whoever you are. Who is this person talking right now? I hope you find a better ending than you seek. Clown Dream. Alright, so we reset the entire game. Let's do this again. Oh, here you go. Interesting. Okay. This is an option that's already unlocked for us. The flags, I guess, are already triggered. There you go. So, in this route, in this timeline, I guess, you know, we bring the hitchhiker into the passenger seat again, you know, and they stabbed us in the eye, and we crash again, and they ask the question, who's to blame? You, me, and there's a third option. Both of us. For some reason, I remembered something. Something that hadn't happened yet. Or was it something that was never meant to happen at all? My head spun. The answer that left my mouth wasn't the one either of us had been expecting. We're both to blame. I beg your pardon? You sounded so off guard, like you'd forgotten that you were supposed to be in pain. Like this was all just some big play, and I'd said something that wasn't in the script. I couldn't even remember why I'd been angry in the first place. I was the one who stopped. I was the one who created this whole situation. And you escalated things, got us to this point. Even if I was the one that crashed the car, even if you were the one that tried to kill me, without both our actions combined, we wouldn't be here. I couldn't tell how much sense all that actually made. I was losing too much blood too quickly. All I could feel was this overwhelming desire to rest. Rest until it all didn't hurt so much anymore. My good eye closed, while the other fluttered and stung. I heard you moving, I think. Moving like you were standing up. But for some reason, I didn't find that strange at all. Like I seen you do it before. And that's when I heard you. You were laughing. Laughing like you'd never done it before. Laughing in that way sounded more like an imitation than the real thing. All along. You wheezed and hiccuped and coughed. All along. The blame was split. How could I have missed it? My head was spinning again. It was getting hard to understand what you were saying, much less what you meant by all of it. All along, we were beings of conflicting natures. One of self-sabotage and one of self-preservation. So naturally, we clashed. And now we are here. You sighed, catching your breath. Your voice was still trembling from laughter. How wonderful do you think it must be to be thoughtless, bereft of consciousness and reason? How wonderful to live one's life without conflict and thus without regret. You choked, fighting for air. You're laughing again. I suppose that must truly be the nature of bad people, yes? Not that they're completely devoid of good intentions and thoughts, but that they have such thoughts and choose to ignore them anyway. Alright, ending 7. Thoughtless. Alright, so we're back over here. This is when we were from the perspective of the hiker, actually. Near the very end, when we were talking to the driver, and he was asking, you know, what are we looking for, I guess. First time we said a better ending. This time, let's say, a way out. I'm looking for a way out. When I tried to tell you the truth before, your reaction had always been less than favorable. But maybe I approach things differently. You understand this time. A way out? That sounds pretty serious. Are you on the run or something? Do you need me to find some place that can help you? I do not think that a place capable of helping me exists. The ones who are looking for me are. They can be very persistent. You exhaled, scratching the back of your neck. Wow, buddy, that's pretty, intense. You sure you shouldn't try talking to the authorities or something? Absolutely not. Even then, there are shelters and safe houses for people like you. I think they'd help you a lot more than I could. No. But you get a proper place to stay and no. The car went silent. It wasn't fair. Everything you just said just then would be a perfectly reasonable suggestion in any other situation, but they didn't apply to me. They couldn't. It just wasn't fair. It wasn't fair that my better ending, that my real life remained forever outside my reach, taunting me, hung at the edge of a fishhook. It didn't take long until I heard you dialing something in your phone. However spotty the signal may have been, I knew it was too late. Hello? Is this the runaway safe line? I sighed. You never listened. I couldn't have anyone else knowing about me. So I took your next words back before they even left your mouth. Oh. Anger. Alright. Well, before we continue though, we can actually roll back here. Boop, boop. Alright, and we can go back here. Oh, interesting. It just kind of like happens automatically. So if you get that ending, just like the first one, the first time you get ending 8, you can actually roll back from that screen and then go back to this dialogue choice again. You gotta be careful though. If you try to continue from there, you kind of miss out on, these variations. So again, he asks, I'm assuming he asks, what do we want? How about a fresh start? I'm looking for a fresh start. It was difficult, but part of me wanted to hope. To hope that life could be different. To hope that I could find something worth living for in the first place. Hey, that's exciting. Not every day you get a chance to start from scratch. Any big plans for your great debut? How do you mean? Nothing in particular, just like new things you want to try, new experiences, that sort of thing. You only live once and all that. My chest hurt. Hey, you good there, buddy? Sorry, I didn't mean to pry or anything. I thought and thought and thought, but in the end, I couldn't come up with one single thing that I wanted to do with my life. Same. Anyway, I had nobody waiting for me. No one to look forward to, nowhere to go. I was alone, unwanted. Why was I here in the first place? You're a weapon, a tool, a killer, and nothing more. Was that really all I was good for? Something to be used for someone else's personal gain. A mindless weapon. Buddy, the scalpel's handle slid sweetly in between my fingers. Hey, what you doing back there? If death and violence were truly all I could have in this life, then maybe, just maybe, I could take them down with me. Alright. Bargaining. Oh, let's try again. Roll back, please. Whoop. Alright. And now we're over here again. Let's choose the chance for revenge instead as our answer. I'm looking for payback. Against the ones who deserve it. I didn't care what I said anymore. I have to roll back again anyway. There's no point. I gripped my scalpel in both my hands and took a deep breath. So then, I was right about you, huh? What? You leaned over in your seat and swerved to the side. I saw the tree. I saw the steering wheel spin free from your grip. I saw the branch heading straight for the window. I'd seen it all so many times before. I already knew how this ending went. But even then, knowing what I did, I'd never seen that look on your face before. Even when you blamed me for our deaths, even in the moments before I had killed you. I'd never seen that pure, unadulterated hatred you had when you thought I would hurt someone else. Being looked at like that, it made me feel so empty. It stuck there in my mind, even as I watched the rest of time melt away in front of me. Okay. Depression. And a different look. Driver. Huh? Rollback. Boop. Alright. I guess option here. I guess what we want. Nothing. Nothing, really. Nothing. I hugged my knees to my chest, fighting to keep my voice even. Thank God you couldn't see my face from the front seat. Nothing at all. I'm only passing through. Is that right? I'm in the same boat, actually. Well, good luck with the rest of your travels, yeah? Hitchhiking ain't easy. I'll keep that in mind. And then he kept on driving without care in the world. I inhaled, my breath shaking. Nothing. That was all that was waiting for me at the end of this road, wasn't it? Just nothing. No matter how hard I tried, no matter how many times I rolled back, nothing I did would change my ending. Time is a circle. I was going to keep following this fruitless cycle of eternity. There's nothing I could do. Nothing. Acceptance. You notice that actually, because the first time you get this ending, it was denial. So it's denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. It's the stages of grief. But wasn't there like 7 of them? There's only 5. Anyway. Where was I? Oh, right. Forgot something funny. I shook the weird sense of deja vu. And that's when I saw you. Sticking your thumb out, someone needed my help. It's the Lord's way to offer assistance to those in need, after all. What sort of servant of God would I be if I left you there? Hey, you alright, Wirt? Before I could even blink, you drove a scalpel straight through my stomach. I fell to my knees, arms wrapped tight around my waist, fighting to stop the bleeding. You flicked the blood free from the blade and stepped towards me again. But for some reason, your hands were shaking. You looked terrified. Don't. Your voice trembled, eyes blown wide. Don't come near me. Again. Again. I choked, feeling blood and bile rise up in my throat. My vision shook. What are you talking? I fell to the ground as life drained from my body. I never found out who you were, or why'd you kill me. You didn't even remember. I'm alive, but I don't want it to end like this. Alright, there you go. Ending 12, Obligation. I think you can only get this ending after you get the scenes, where the driver kills the hitchhiker, like a few times. So that's kind of like revenge in a way, because obviously the hitchhiker knows what happens, so freaking kills the driver before any of that ever happens, I guess. Okay, so we're back all the way here. So this is the final choice I could make in the ending sequence, I guess. And so last time I picked I was right. This time, let's say, and I was wrong. And I was wrong. The effort that comes of getting yourself out of something like that, it never ends. You don't just break out and you're home free. You have to keep going. As much as it sucks, it's a commitment. How much more commitment do I have to be? The voice was full of venom. You have no idea how long I've been trying. No idea how much. My fingers curled around yours as he took a shaky breath. How much I've had to do just to get this far. If the reason why I'm still here is only because I didn't try hard enough, then maybe I never actually had a chance in the first place. Maybe so. What? Maybe you just don't have it in you to go at this alone. No shame in it. Happens to the best of us. That's why you gotta know when to cut your losses and ask for someone for help. You huffed. You make it sound so easy. I know. What was it that you said earlier? It's not that simple? And you're right, it isn't. But if you already tried everything, and you're just about ready to give up anyway, what else do you have to lose? Nothing. But the same cannot be said for the person helping me. Well, that's on them. Their life, their choices. I would still be responsible for the hardships they suffered. What did I just say? You went quiet again. But I had enough of this anyway. What are you? Come on, you. Up and at 'em. Even as every part of my body screamed in protest, I pulled myself up to my feet, using one of the trees nearby to keep my balance. But I didn't let go of your hand. You're gonna kill yourself if you try to move that much. Yeah, you killed me plenty of times already. I can handle it. As I said that, I plucked out a piece of shrapnel from my stomach and hissed as the pain hit me all over again. Case in point. Alright, that's enough out of you, wise guy. Come on, get moving. Excuse me? Sliding my hand down to your forearm, you yelped as I pulled you up beside me. I saw your leg was twisted, bent and broken in all the wrong ways, so I eased you into my shoulder and helped you stand up. You're coming with me, buddy. This better ending of yours that you want so bad, wherever it is, we're gonna find it. You wobbled, clinging to my arm for dear life. This is ridiculous. Could not make it a single step, much less far enough to find help. I dragged us forward past the tree. You practically shrieked. See? Look at that, a step. We'll be out of here before you know it. Your nails dug into the fabric of my shirt. Why should we bother? I grunted, groping for another branch to hold onto while I pulled us forward. It hurt to breathe. Listen, I have no idea what kind of higher power you ascribe to, but God put me here for a reason. And that reason is the rid world of bad people. I look after the good ones. No matter how this ends, whether I get you somewhere safe or die trying, I'm doing exactly what I set out to do. You took the few next steps in silence as my boots slid across the dirt, your bad foot dragging behind you. You're insane. Nope, just stupid. Now, are you gonna help us walk or what? I didn't expect you to respond, or do much of anything really. I was perfectly content to keep us going until I couldn't anymore. But instead, you reached out to touch my chest and... Ow! I felt like I'd been socked in the gut. Something reverberated through me, and it took a second to shake off the impact. What the fuck did you do to me? But you didn't answer. When I looked down, I saw you gone completely limp. Oi! Oi! You didn't move a muscle. Your head rolled to the side, nosebleed streaming down across your lip. Then I realized how much better I was feeling. I looked down my stomach where the glass had slit me open from the crash. It was like the wound was closing in on itself. Not healing per se, but melding together as if it never been there at all. Like it was reversing itself or rolling back. I kept moving. Ached like hell, but as my strength came back to me, I hoisted you up over my shoulder and carried you as far as I could. It was like you weighed nothing at all. I had no idea how long we'd been stuck here. I had no idea how much time we'd lost, or how the world had changed since we were last part of it. But I knew one thing for certain. I was gonna find us that better ending, even if it killed me. Even there's no point in trying. Even if neither of us really deserved it. Because God knows we needed it. Ending 0. Nurture. Alright. And that's it. That's the kind of like the alternate ending. Sort of. At the very end. A little bit more hopeful, I guess. You know, instead of just, just lying there dying. At least, there's an attempt to survive, I guess. And that's, I guess, left ambiguous whether or not they actually do. But yeah, there you go. That's the game. Let's go through these credits real quick. We've seen them before. Alright, so there you go. I think I got all the endings. It says here, I don't know, I'm missing ending 5, but I'm pretty sure I got that one. The game apparently is just not marking that for some reason. Ending 5 was the one where you drive past the hitchhiker, and then it's like common sense ending or whatever, right? So I already got that one. So I'm gonna count, to me, I'm gonna count that one. So basically, I think I've pretty much completed the game in terms of getting all the endings and basically 100%ing it. There might be some slight dialogue variations, very slight, very minor, that I haven't seen, but I don't think it matters too much, really. Because I'm imagining the story with the scorpion and the frog, for example. There's some variations on that, but it doesn't matter too much. But there you go. That's the game. All right. Wow. What a trip, I gotta say. Very interesting. I mean, for one, definitely interesting time loop story. I always like the Groundhog Day kind of style, time travel kind of thing in like a lot of plots, a lot of stories. I do like that. So that was pretty cool. It's interesting how it like changes perspectives as well. You start off with this driver, thinking that it's just a typical faceless protagonist or whatever, but then you switch perspectives to the hiker, you learn more about them, and then at the very end there, you kind of learn more about the actual nature of the driver. As it turns out, he's not as nice as you think he is. It makes things very morally ambiguous, to be honest. A lot of the like endings, like in particular, like the final endings, it kind of ends off kind of like, oh, like let's like comfort each other in these final moments, or like let's be hopeful and find a better ending and everything. But like I don't know, the driver is very morally gray. I would say I don't think he's a good person. So I don't know. So he freaking like, I mean, on one hand he kills like, like he targets criminals, but on the other hand he freaking murders them, and like he judges them, on his own like perspective, which is like, I mean, for one, it's illegal, but also it's like, is it fair that he gets to judge these people? And sometimes does he get it wrong? That's the problem with vigilantes, in witch hunts, is that it's not like a fair process. It's just based on one person's like idea of justice, which just might be different from the rest of society. Like he could have got it wrong. What if he killed innocents? There's no way to know. So I don't know. It's kind of like, he's not exactly Batman either. At least with Batman, there's the one thing where Batman doesn't do is kill the guy. That's the only thing that keeps him not being like a full on like, I don't know, the Punisher. Basically, where he just freaking kills everybody. I don't know. So yeah, definitely very, very like morally gray. So I don't know if he deserves that. I don't know if he deserves like a whole like speech where it's like, oh, I'm so wise. You should probably follow my advice. I'm so full of wisdom and everything. And even though I'm a freaking murderer. But to be fair, I guess on the other side, the hitchhiker, we never actually see him like kill anyone else. He only kills the driver. So that's kind of fair. It's kind of like self-defense in a way. It's like a weird time loop thing where he's killed the driver a few times already. So like, in a way, maybe that's fair. But it's also implied that he's a weapon, right? We don't really see much of it though. We don't see only like a few glimpses, but we don't really see much of his origin, right? It's his origin as a weapon, right? As a killer. So possibly he's been used before as some kind of like time loop assassin, in the past. So maybe he's also a bit of a killer as well. But I don't know. I feel more sympathetic with the hitchhiker, obviously, because he was just grown in that environment and didn't want to do it in the first place. So, on the other hand, the driver, is killing people with intention. So like, it's like it's intention, right? It's like, anyway, I just feel less sympathetic for the driver, even though I feel like, at the end there, I feel like you're supposed to feel sympathy for him. I feel like the only thing that would maybe redeem him in my eyes would be maybe like some of the timelines are like not just like a repeat of the exact same events, but rather like a parallel universe, if that makes sense. So like maybe he isn't always like a serial killer in every timeline. But obviously that's just conjecture. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm being honest, like if you I don't know, maybe it's a controversial thing to say, but like if you kill people, I don't know, you're not exactly like a good person, per se, I would say. Even though I think part of the game is about how like whether or not you're a good or a bad person, that's very black and white. It's not so simple, but still. Killing people, that's kind of crossing the line. But I don't know. I guess it's like, the only like, I don't know. The only thing that like, as a society anyway, that we kind of accept killing, I guess would be like if you're a soldier. So, that's even more complicated in terms of like morality. But anyway, let's not get into that. So let's get back to what I think about the game. So the game itself, very interesting. Very cool mechanics. They didn't do too much of that. In fact, it was a little hidden. I had to play through the game like a second time, technically, to find out what to do with the rollback feature. It's kind of interesting that you can press rollback, which is really just a history function, of REMP, and which in fact kind of glitches actually. You can actually soft lock yourself pretty easily if you use the skip function that I did, because if you press control, it's just hotkey. So that can like break easily if you're not careful. But it is pretty interesting what they did with that. Just like it makes you feel immersive because it's using a mechanic that's in the game to kind of like highlight the theme of the game itself, which is like, time traveling, which is pretty cool. I like that. It's kind of like a very cool way to blend in the mechanics of the game with the story. So I always like that. But yeah, I mean, the whole looping thing as well. It started off the first part, definitely kind of standard. Looping, getting different outcomes, and then your character kind of maybe remembers, maybe not. So it's pretty interesting how they built up the mystery in the beginning as well. And yeah, I mean, art is okay. I'll be honest, not really my art style. Not really my type of art style that I like necessarily, but it's serviceable. I wouldn't say it's bad to look at necessarily. It's a little creepy at times. I just remember 2 CGs. Obviously, I guess the woman, the red woman, I guess, when she was smiling that one time, it was supposed to be a jump scare, I feel like, and when the driver was smiling as well with the gun. Those were definitely 2 times when it was actually pretty creepy, the art style. So that actually kind of fit. It was like kind of like uncanny, I was saying how like it looks a lot uncanny, right? So it kind of fits when it's meant to be scary, I feel like. What else? The writing was overall pretty good. I think I saw some typos, some slight typos, some misspellings, I feel like. Some small ones, I guess. Not too bad. But writing is pretty good overall, I would say. It felt like they're like characters that were talking to each other, basically. So I think it felt pretty natural for the most part. But yeah, what else? Music, it's basically mostly ambience. Some sound effects here and there I've noticed as well, so that's pretty good sound design. I guess the only thing, definitely the endings as well. I know some endings are very easy to miss. I kind of wish it wasn't so easy, I wish it was a little bit more hinted towards that you can get those endings, I guess that doesn't matter too much, though, I guess, but if you're a completionist like me, I kind of wish there was a bit of a hint, especially the variations of ending 8, I wish there was a bit more, a bit more of a nudge, that you can actually roll back during that part, because that was what I feel like was, in a way, it's like, I don't know, it's like underutilized, but not in the sense that it hasn't been used at all, but more so that you don't know when to use it, I guess. Other than the parts where the game kind of forces you to use it, right? So it's a cool mechanic, it's a cool idea, but we never actually use it more than just going back to like a dialogue option, I guess, for the variations of ending 8. That's something that's kind of hidden, I feel like. I don't know. I feel like most players would miss that, because they would just click, 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 and then you can roll back any time, but it doesn't really affect anything for the most part, right? So, I don't know. A little bit more of that would be kind of interesting, but I don't know. Maybe there's some Easter eggs I missed even still. I'm not sure, but it just seemed like because you can like roll back any time, it kind of makes it so like it's hard to tell when you should roll back, unless again the game tells you. So it's kind of like it feels like again kind of underutilized in that sense, if that makes sense. Maybe not. I don't know. That's just how I felt. I guess that's it. I mean, I kind of wish. I mean, this is something that may or may not have to be actually in the game, but I kind of wanted to know more about the hiker's origin. Actually, as like, well, like what is this organization that's chasing him? And who is this woman? Right? I guess I've always said that too much exposition is a bad thing, though. So maybe it's good to leave it ambiguous. Actually, you can make your own conclusions on what they were. I guess you could imagine maybe the organization is kind of like this government, secret government agency or whatever that like keeps these like special time traveling kids. I don't know. He was like number 8, right? So there probably been obviously at least 8 other individuals like him. So I'm assuming something like that. And obviously, but number 8, the hitchhiker, obviously tried to leave. and everything. Try to escape. But I do wonder, who was that woman? Kind of like a mother figure, obviously, but obviously only pretending to be a mother, not really a mother. Just manipulating the hiker to do things for her and for the organization. I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to learn more about her, though. However, just a little bit more. Nice, because we only see her in flashbacks. It would be, it would be. Well, I mean, this is just complete. I mean, this is just complete made up. But I'm just thinking, maybe the hitchhiker did kill that woman, right? Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's why he keeps getting flashbacks of her and why he hates her so much. He ended up killing her and everything, and maybe that's part of his mental state as well. I don't know. It would kind of fit because the driver also kills people, and there could be a contrast, of murder, right? Whether it's a good thing or not, and why does he consider himself a bad person? Possibly because he's killed before, something like that. I don't know, but that's just completely, just in my mind, I guess. What is it, headcanon? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I guess that's it. So, all right, so I mean, overall, pretty cool idea, pretty cool concept, and pretty cool atmosphere as well. Kind of got immersed in the story and everything. So yeah, a pretty good experience, I would say. I definitely recommend it to anyone who's into the whole Groundhog Day kind of plot and everything. But there you go. I guess that's it for HIKEBACK. So if you're on YouTube, you didn't know, I stream these games live on Twitch, so check me out over there if you're interested. I also have other playthroughs on the channel, so you can look for those if you want. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you then.